is giving me nostalgia because the first car review I ever did was a 2006 Mustang GT, which was my second car in my life. The reason I'm doing this car is, once again, it has a great story behind it, and also this is kind of the setup I wanted as a teenager. I really wanted this Vortec V2 supercharger kit that is on this car. Stock motor, that's not changed, but man, has this car had an up and down life. You get a 3-valve 4.6 liter V8 from Ford, and then you go to a Coyote. It is such a weird transition going back because the motor acts completely different. It doesn't rev as high, and the potential isn't as high when you put a blower on it, but doesn't mean you can't still have fun with them. I think the best part about this car is that it's complete sleeper mode. It's a silver Mustang, and you would never know that it's supercharged. You never really hear the Vortec whine unless you're at a certain RPM. Other than that, it looks like a stock 2006 Mustang that you wouldn't really blink an eye at. With that, it has a Vortec V2 supercharger kit that's bolt-on, and you have 470 wheel horsepower. And that's all on stock bottom end, stock internals, and you're running 8 PSI. The supercharger kit has literally been on this car almost its entire life. When the car was ordered, a few months later, the supercharger kit was ordered. So with that, it's kind of been hand in hand. This belongs to my buddy Alex, and the first thing you notice when you get back in a 4.6 is the handling. Now, this has a few handling upgrades. It's on different springs and on conies and upper and lower control arms. But there's a lot more play in the steering wheel. If you see here, if I do this, not that much happens until you really turn in. But it's one of those things where if you own the car long enough and you had the cojones, you could probably keep up with some stuff. The car also has an MGW short shifter, which really helps. I remember the shifter in this car when I had it. It was just like a football field long whenever you had to shift it to the next gear. But with this, it's very direct and very notchy. At first, it's a little hard to get used to, but once you finally get that satisfying notch, it's very much like a Barton short shifter, which is in my car. Now, a lot of people will send me messages all the time being like, David, I want to get a 4.6 3-valve GT, or should I save up for a Coyote? Well, I think a big question is with the supercharger on this car, is it just as good as a Coyote? It's pretty close, but you can't rev as high. The internals aren't as beefy, you can't handle as much power, but when it goes against a stock Coyote, this is quicker. So earlier in the review, I said, this car has a story. Oh man, it does. So what I mean by that is, like I said, stock bottom end, but Alex kind of learned this the hard way the first time. The first time he was on the way to our local car meet when it had the V2 supercharger kit on it, and bam! It blew up on the way to the car meet. Remember us all standing at the car meet, and we all took off our hats and had a moment of silence for Alex's motor. But then 3 months later, after a lot of trouble, got a whole different motor with fairly low mileage, which is pretty impressive. He got it all done under warranty with the supercharger kit. But in between that era, his ECU decided to lock out on him. So $1,000 later, he had an ECU and a tune, and he was back on the road. So was it worth it? I don't know, but at least the car still runs. Only thing is with this kind of power, which is kind of cool, you spit fire. But the only bad thing is when you spit fire is it doesn't have mufflers anymore because he blew them out. So that is why this car is obnoxiously loud. So if I just, even if I cruise, say if I downshift to third, just like I'll go into a little bit, just listen. Oh, come on, turn, 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 turn. You see, I never really noticed in my last car how much body roll the 3 valves had until I came back. But I know it might sound like I'm knocking the 3-valve Mustang. And believe it or not, at one point it got Car of the Year in a few magazines because it came back with the kind of retro styling. This is the S197 platform, and this platform goes into the Coyote era. But now with the S550, it's slowly getting cheaper and being kind of phased out, but people still adore these cars for their looks, especially. One of the things about these cars too is the interior is hard plastic everywhere. It's everywhere. There's no hiding from it, none. But back then, Ford was like, if you're buying a Mustang, why do you even care about the interior? And that was kind of their excuse. But it's definitely been a little dated. The shift knob is even broken. Mine did the exact same thing. But it is weird driving this compared to the Helion turbocharged 3-valve that I drove back in 2013, which was very smooth, believe it or not. It was like butter. It was one of the first really fast cars I'd ever driven. It made around 600 horsepower. But in comparison, this one's so much more violent. It's crazy how just changing to a supercharger, how different the character is. Another thing that does not help with how loud the car is, it has an off-road H-pipe. Now, what that does is it creates great free-flowing exhaust because you took away the catalytic converters. So you make even more power and it's more instantaneous when you have nothing interrupting your power band. So when you rev this motor out, well, to where it can rev out, it'll stop at 6,000 RPM, and that's pretty much where the power ends anyway. Since you already have 470 wheel horsepower, you're already getting up and going. So you're not really too concerned about going any higher, but you will bang off the rev limiter if you go past 6,000 RPM. Another thing about the car, it is running a 355 gear ratio, which is a good kind of mid-range gear. If you go to 373s, you'll probably be roasting even more. It'll be a harder accelerating gear, but your top end won't be as strong. But if you go 331s, your top end's ridiculous, but it takes forever to rev out, but you'll never really have traction issues. So you have 255s on this car, which doesn't help. So you do have a little bit of traction issues. First gear and second gear, you can make it spin as long as you want to. It just let out the gas when you want it to stop. Other than that, it's gonna keep spinning. The funny thing is though, with no mufflers, there's just 2 empty spots in the back. When you look at the rear end of the car, you're like, that's not right. What happened? And then you tell the story and you're like, okay, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. Another thing about the clutch in the shifter, it's an Exody Stage 2 clutch. Now, these clutches, believe it or not, even factory, are pretty heavy. It's always been kind of an oddball, because I learned how to drive stick in this car. But when you want to get in it, but so far, overall, when I look at this car and I get the feel of it and all those sort of things, I think it just really shows how much progress Ford has made as a complete company. It just shows that they listen to the people going, why are you like just kind of shortcoming us with these 4.6s? You need to give us a little bit more power. It's like you're trying to control a boat, so you're going like this the whole time. But with these upper and lower control arms, it's really helped. The upper and the lowers are both BMR, if you're wondering. Ooh. Alright, so note to self, this car does like to get swirly, especially if you hit a bump and wants to hop on you. So if you hit a bump or any kind of divot in the road or pothole, the whole back end goes like this. And you're just like, oh, I didn't think dance class was today, but okay. Oh my god. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. When I got on it back there, it felt so sketch. Like if you hit that bump, man, and the whole car just lifts up and you're just like, oh no. It's like you're confident when you get on the throttle, and then you hit that and you're like, okay, maybe I'm not so confident, and then it lands like Duke boys. There's 2 advantages to having a silver car. 1, it never looks really that dirty. 2, you're so innocent. You're just so innocent. Like if you were to ever get on this car and then somebody would be like, I just saw a silver Mustang blew by me, you'd go, well, which one? There's a lot of those. It's kind of like the silver Impala theory. I saw a criminal in a silver Chevy Impala. Which one? All right, first gear. Second gear does not exist. I love how crazy this car is, and it just looks so normal. Like, yes, I know, you can't call a Mustang a sleeper. That's not fair. But if there is to be a Mustang sleeper, it's this one. Alright guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching this quick little review video. I want to thank Alex so very much for letting me drive his little, I guess you could call sleeper Mustang. And good luck to him because he is moving to Charlotte, North Carolina to work at Hendrix Motorsports to do NASCAR things. And I'm proud of him. He's going to do good. So I will see you guys next time, and take it easy. Have a good one.